Don, you and I talked about President Trump. I have no love, and I don't want to
Oh,
give
I know
Trump
that.
any credits, but
Oh,
I
I know that.
know, but I am in the business of telling the truth.
Same.
Donald Trump intervention have been monumental in making the ceasefire deal possible. I was in Qatar recently. I talked to Arab diplomats, Egyptians and Qataris and others, and this is what they told me, that very often they told President Biden and this administration for months and months and months, all he needed to do is pressure the Prime Minister of Israel to accept the deal. He refused. He himself said he's a Zionist and he would not do it. But Donald Trump sent actually an envoy, and that is Steve Witkoff. He imposed a meeting, and then Netanyahu accepted the deal. The Israeli media and Israeli ministers, including Ben-Gvir, today confirmed that it was President Trump.
So what's your take on what got us to this moment?
Well, tragically, the deal could have been made or struck in March, again in May, and it was rehashed or rekindled in July and in August, and Mr. Netanyahu refused. So if you're asking what the game changer was, what the reason that brought him to say yes now, as opposed to the many resisting no's in previous months, it was the Donald Trump factor. It's not that Trump pressured him. It's that he's afraid of the unpredictability and transactionality of Trump that Trump is known for, that caused him to say, I better get on his good side and I should do this now.
How did it happen and why now?
Well, the deal is basically a deal that was presented initially by the Israelis in May to President Biden. That framework has been available essentially since the end of May. So you might ask the question, as you did, why now? And I would say there was a Trump effect. The Trump effect was on Bibi, in the sense that Bibi was not going to say no to Trump.
The Times says what you say, Ambassador, that this was broadly similar to a three-phase framework publicized by President Biden in May with the 6-week ceasefire. They've reviewed even a copy of the agreement as this was all unfolding today. The same report notes that Donald Trump's threats that all hell would break loose if no deal was reached before his inauguration might have helped motivate Hamas's leadership.
We heard just a week ago Trump say at Mar-a-Lago that there would be hell to pay if a deal was not reached before he took office on January 20th. Can you kind of walk us through how closely Trump's team was working with the Biden team in getting this negotiation done?
I do think that when you look at the situation and the fact that this is a deal that was more or less out there on the table, right for the picking for the better part of a year, the fact that it is getting done now is a sign that at the very least the leaders of both Israel and Hamas were aware of where the next president wanted this to go and what he might possibly do if they didn't sign on the dotted line.
Biden shrugged off a question yesterday about Trump being responsible for this deal as a joke. But Trump has certainly taken a stronger posture against Hamas. How much credit do you think the incoming president deserves for this deal?
Well, there are certainly hostage families on the street in Tel Aviv who say it is Donald Trump who helped get this over the line. But you heard President-elect Trump say there would be hell to pay if the hostages were not released, if there was not a ceasefire agreement before he took office. And that seems to have resonated over there. Whether it really put Hamas over the line, we don't know about that, but it did have some effect. And having those two administrations work together really did seem to make a difference. You heard President Biden say, "Oh, is that a joke? You think Donald Trump is completely responsible for this?" But they clearly had an effect of some sort.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East, and it will not be good for Hamas. And it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is.
Thank you.
Who credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you. Were I a Jew, I would be a Zionist. And my father pointed out to me, I did not need to be a Jew to be a Zionist, for I am.